Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. All right, cool, thanks for joining us. All right. This is May 21st, is it 21st today? or-
20th.
It is May 20, 2021, the time is 6:31. This is the night 2 of our interviews of the at-large council, open council position. We are starting our interviews with Carolyn Woolman.
Yes, you did.
All right, cool, all right. My questions here. Somewhere I have questions.
All right, package right in front of you.
I got a whole bunch of them right here. There we go. I just have to find them. All right, well, thank you for joining us.
Sure.
Okay, so I have a few questions that I'll go through, then everyone else go through their questions,
Okay.
and then you have an opportunity to do yours as well. Okay, cool. In your opinion, what is the primary role of the city council?
I think the primary role, how I understand it, is to, gosh, it covers a lot of things. Land use, water use, budgeting, communication with the people that live in Littleton.
The weekly time commitment, not including regular city council meetings, to read materials, attend outside meetings, is approximately 10 to 20 hours a week, sometimes more, sometimes less. It could be during the day, it could be during the evening. Are you willing and available to commit the necessary time to be an effective council member?
Evenings, absolutely, and daytime if they're planned.
And if it's during the day, it's usually a scheduled meeting well in advance.
Yeah, that's fine.
Cool. Are you willing to attend council meetings and other events in person?
Yes.
Of the personal and professional skills that you have, what is the most essential beneficial skill that you bring to the council?
My personality.
Oh. Okay, that'll work.
It's true.
Yeah, because there's 6 of them right here, you know, that's right. Yeah, good. Are you familiar with the Littleton building codes?
Yes,
Okay, yeah. Okay, and you are on the, was it the appeals?
I'm on the Board of Adjustment.
Adjustment. Okay.
I'm on the Board of Adjustment and I'm in a related field, so I have to work with codes every day. And I've also done a major remodel on a house here in Littleton in the last 5 years, and now, and as the general contractor, and then now working on a detached garage. So have worked on knowing the codes, dealing with the codes on all sides, all facets.
A significant council activity during the next 6 months is the Unified Land Use Code.
Yeah.
What's your current understanding of those codes?
My current understanding is that you have gotten a lot of input over time to know, and that from the people that live here in Littleton about some of their expectations and what they would like to see. But also you've got things where water has changed coming into Littleton, so there's some little ponds and things that are not being, like they're not getting more water like they used to. You're also trying to be more organized so that you've got blocks of areas that have uniform codes instead of having random little things that don't make sense because it's not consistent.
Please describe your community involvement and or your relevant experience over the last 5 years.
So my involvement is through the Board of Adjustment, which I'm now the vice chair on that board, which is awesome. I have also attended a meeting with Ashley, the city attorney, so we've gone over quasi judicial and what that means and how to act accordingly. So we're working within the guidelines of that all the time. And then really it's just all my entire background, being in sales, working with codes, understanding mechanicals, things like that, that are all relatable right to working with the council.
Yeah, thanks. Are you familiar with the city budget?
A little bit.
A little bit. Because we haven't committed, nobody expects you to have it committed.
I just know it is a challenge at the moment.
Well, identify what you believe are the top 2 issues facing the city.
The top 2 issues probably is budgeting and how to make ends meet. And it probably also is being respectful of any money that's coming in from the federal government to make sure that that money is used intelligently, properly, and not committing that to a long-term budget because it's not a long-term amount of money.
All right. we will have questions from you, can ask us here a little bit. It's fun.
Carolyn, thanks for coming, thanks for applying.
Sure.
What makes you want to be on the city council?
I really like Littleton. So I lived in southeast Aurora for a long time. Lived in Highlands Ranch for a while. None of them have a community feel. And so I really love that, to have that community of Littleton. And the only way to make sure that things keep going in a good direction is to step up and get involved.
Thanks.
Hi, I'm
Hi.
Kelly.
Hi, Kelly.
Nice to meet you. Thanks for applying. I only have two questions. Do you have any intentions of running for city council in November?
Actually, that is something that I wrote down on my future plans. So this would be a wonderful way to come in and learn about the position, and then also see how it does integrate with the rest of life. But the long-term plan is to then run.
And if you were to run this November, do you think that that would impact your ability to serve on the council? As it's a very time intensive job to run for position, or for council.
Something like
Something. Trying to do that.
I have a great group of people to surround myself with that will help with running for council, which is awesome. And the other thing is that I'm extremely organized, and I'm also faithful to using time wisely. So I can get a lot more. My husband and I joke all the time, we do more in a day than most people do in a month. And it's just because the way we finish the projects we start, we're organized about it. And so, would it be taxing? Probably,
Yeah.
but it's for a season. It's not for life.
Great.
No problem.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Is there something you hope to accomplish during your 5-month tenure on city council?
That's a really good question. What I would like to accomplish, a lot of people are not involved in their city governments at all. They're very disconnected but judgmental of. And it would really be nice to spend a little bit of time and maybe build some more bridges so that people are more connected and voice their opinion, or show up to the meetings, or show up whether it's Zoom or in person, and have know more about Littleton and maybe take more ownership of the place that they live.
Is there something as a council person that you would have passion for, that you would advocate for, be interested in, and go the extra mile for?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not sure, so I'd have to that'll be a learning thing. I don't know that at this point.
If you could make one improvement in the city, what would it be?
Figuring out how to get traffic to flow better down Main Street.
Good luck at that one.
Yeah.
You got 5 months, baby.
I'm not, I ponder that one sometimes, I'm like, how could we make this better? I haven't come up with it yet.
Thank you.
You bet.
Pro development? Are you pro development? Do you like what's happening around downtown right now and around Littleton?
Oh, I think it's a must.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And are you aware of, would you be in favor, I should say, of sales tax increase? Or that's something we're pondering, and I'm just trying to get a feel for, people that are, you know where sales tax is today?
I don't.
It's 3%.
Okay.
So,
I was listening to the council meeting just this week, and they did talk about that a little
Right.
bit, and it's such
Good.
a minuscule amount. It doesn't seem like it would be a big hurdle
yeah, I agree.
to do that. And I do think taxes do need to go up a little bit, because there's a lot of things that need to be done in Littleton.
Yeah.
My street, I'm not kidding you, my street is rubble.
There's a link at littletongov.org. Click it. You'll see the sign as you come down Main Street. It says
Okay.
click and fix.
Click fix.
Yeah.
See click fix. There's a
Yeah.
link right there. Just click it and just report the address where pothole or whatever needs to be fixed.
Yeah, no, it's just the whole road.
Yeah. Well,
I'm not kidding you, it is.
Keith has a master plan. So if you go on that same website, Littleton Gov, and look at the master plan, when you can expect your roads to be.
That would be
Repave.
great.
Have you attended any city council meetings or
Only on
just?
Zoom,
Okay, well,
or
yeah.
through Facebook, or, gone in different
Yeah.
ways, but yes, I have watched
Okay, great.
several of them.
That's all I have. Cool. Thank you.
Since I'll try to be consistent, since I
There you
didn't
go.
ask any questions last night, I guess.
Unless it's clarifying, always clarifying.
I can always clarify.
Well, what questions do you have for us?
Well, I did write down a couple of questions, and you guys can just kind of go through and see how you would answer this. I would like to know what each of you especially like about serving on the council. What do you like about it? I also would like to know what wisdom would you want to pass on so that I can be of value and effective immediately to the council and to Littleton?
Whew. Another simple question. I'll go ahead and I'll start off. It's, for me, I mean, I've been on council for a while and planning commission for it's just seeing things get done. You know, like your street needs to get done, so do my streets in every village, you know, they all need to get done, the whole city for the most part. And when you see a plan that Patrick was talking about, gives an idea of what the schedule is, but just getting things done, slowly but surely.
I think I'd like to look at things from a macro level. I really enjoyed being on board. I was on a board for 10 years and we had very specific tasks, really enjoyed it and then term limited out. But now I get to see more of what's going on in the city and make more of an impact from that perspective. So that's what I like about it.
Okay.
I think keep it at a high level, you know, sometimes we can get too in the weeds, and for council, that's not our job, that's what staff's job is, you know, ours is to give direction and let staff, so again, if we have ideas, certainly bring them up, but, you know, just not getting too deep in the weeds.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Mine is a combination of Jerry's getting things done and not getting in the weeds, but getting in the asphalt. I really enjoy asking public services. Is that the right name?
Works.
Works. Public Works to fill a pothole, and then by the next day they have it filled. And this is usually somebody who comes to me and says, that hole's been in front of my driveway for 10 years, when are you going to get it fixed? How about tomorrow? And Keith and his department do it, and it's just a joy.
That is a nice thing. I bet the homeowners really appreciate that too.
I never hear from them unless I call them or I email them and go, hey, how do you like that? And they go, oh yeah, I forgot to say thank you.
I have a whole new appreciation for local government and what local government does. As Jerry says, they move a little slowly. But if you think about the number of people just in this building alone and the years of expertise that they have, it's amazing. It's amazing. And what they've accomplished and are going to accomplish. And I'm amazed and blown away by these people and what they've done for our community, even just in this short period of time. So, and I agree, I think our goal is to try to keep it high level and not go into the weeds, which is very hard to do when you're passionate about something. Very, very hard to do.
It's a hard question to answer. I suppose I've always been kind of cerebral, and so I like wrestling with policy. And I particularly like that sort of moment of accountability where we have an issue that's in front of us. And it's my turn on the dais to say to the public what I think and why. That's sort of an exciting moment. I like the fact that there's this wonderful opportunity of sort of marshaling resources, hopefully making the right policy decisions so that people's lives improve. I think after all, that's what we're up to. And there's a lot of opportunity for that in local government. So
That's wonderful.
those are the things I like.
There was one thing, probably the most exciting thing, and it happened just last year during all this Zoom stuff and people not seeing each other. So I walked my dog and, over to the kitchen, like some lady was frantic. Her car was pulled over and she had her phone out and 9 ducklings went into the drain, boom, boom, one after another. And she was freaking out and I was able to get on the phone, like you were saying, get on the phone, and they had to bring out some heavy equipment to lift that manhole cover off and then get what they can, but then try to chase the others out. It was just really cool that it's those little things like
It
that.
matters.
It was pretty cool. And then the lady left, but her grandson came by to make sure that I took care of those ducks. It was pretty good. Yeah, it's little things like that that are also important that we get to see.
I didn't know that, Jerry.
That's great.
You're a hero.
Yeah.
It's an Eagle Scout coming out in you.
Yeah, oh yeah. All right.
But I think reading and just watching those city council meetings, if you haven't, we've done so much in the last 2 years or so with the ULUC and also Envision Littleton, our comprehensive plan. That's, that's where we've been spending the majority of our time and priority-based budgeting and where the money is going that you mentioned earlier. So just, if you want to learn more, you gotta just spend a little time.
Just get in there and read it and
Just
learn it.
read it or listen
And listen.
listen to old council meetings, whatever it is. Yeah,
And that study
sessions.
that study that we did last week, review was pretty cool too, on the feasibility of tax. Whether
Just this week.
Yeah,
On
whether it's
Tuesday.
marijuana sales or what was the other one?
Lodging.
Just cool stuff,
Yeah.
stuff you wouldn't normally read.
Yeah. Well, that's how I am even with the code books. I
Ah,
wouldn't normally read them, but when I want to make sure that the work's being done properly at my house, I better know what it needs to be.
Yeah,
So you spend the time to read it, figure it out, ask questions of people, and it's worth it.
Cool.
Yeah,
all right.
I would love it. So thank you for your time. When will you be making your decision?
Well, the official decision doesn't come for another couple of weeks, but
Okay.
tonight we'll be discussing our choices. But it actually doesn't happen till the next regular meeting, which is
Okay.
Tuesdays, I believe.
Okay.
That's when we actually do an official vote.
Okay, I'll be watching.
Thank you, Carolyn.
Thank
Well, thank you
very
so much
much.
for coming.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much, Carol.
It's nice meeting you.
Thanks for your
Nice
time
meeting
on
you.
the Board of Adjustment too.
Absolutely. Have a nice evening.
You too.
Bye.
Okay, moving along.
Who's our next candidate here?
We have Christopher Yusuf. Yeah, that duck, it was pretty amazing. The mother duck was also freaking out.
Oh, did you get them all?
They got them all.
Oh.
And literally one of the young guy, not the old guy knew better. The young guy got into one of the drains, after lifting off the lid, which, those things are hundreds of pounds. They're not,
Yeah,
plus they've
yeah,
been sitting there for a
yeah.
while. So he was able to get up, didn't have the boots, but he got in there with what he had on and got muddy, And I said to the old guy, I said, good thing the young guy came. Because the old guy's like,
I don't think I would have done
that's
that.
only a duckling.
Was it, is that what your fire that came in or?
Oh, no, Public Works.
Just Public Works.
Because they had to pull up those lids. Big deal.
It's amazing they aren't duck proof or duckling proof.
Well, yeah, I've never thought of that either. The poor lady, she even had it on her, she even filmed it, and I watched them just go one by one.
It would be hard to watch. Well, it didn't do them any good for her to film it.
But she's freaking out the whole time.
My daughter is down in Antarctica, and she watched, they get real fat and in anticipation of the winter. And she says, one little penguin.
You're not talking about your daughter here.
No,
Okay.
no, the penguins, I don't know what she's gonna
We
look
didn't say
like.
penguins.
She's gonna be pasty with dark hair by the time she comes out of this thing. And they come up and then they come out and then the other little one tries to come out and he can't do it. And one goes down, comes back up and shows her how to do it. The other little penguins. And they get to watch all this. I don't know if you saw any of that.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I saw grown-up ones.
Yeah.
That's special.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool little penguins.
How many years is this her third year? Fourth?
And she's wintering.
That's
Wow.
hardcore.
Amazing.
My daughter did 5 years.
And actually singing. I mean, not like your daughter, but she's singing.
Yay!
Yeah. Yeah, she's got a little band going.
I hear some talking going on.
That is
Is this
great.
Christopher? Are we ready if he's here?
Heck, yeah.
Yeah.
Professional level, but.
Are you Christopher?
Yes, sir.
We're ready for you if you want to come in.
Yeah.
Just have a seat.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris, how are you?
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing well. So,
Great. All right, thanks for coming in.
yes.
There's no Av game tonight, so I know Patrick was not as rushed as he was last night.
Oh, thank goodness.
That was a good game last night. So I have a few questions I'll just throw at you, and then everybody else will have a few more, and then we'll give you a chance to ask us. Perfect. Go ahead, thanks for coming, I really appreciate it. In your opinion, what is the primary goal of city council? Easy question, right off the bat.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, I mean, it's kind of a wicked problem, right? You're balancing your current constituents to live here. You're also trying to figure out how to grow, bring in new people. And then also, how do you generate revenue for people who are just coming visiting for the businesses? So it's interesting trying to balance that. It's one of the reasons why I'm here. It's a challenge. I'd be interested to be part of it.
Of course. All right. And the weekly time commitment, not including regular council meetings, to read materials, to attend outside meetings, is approximately 10 to 20 hours a week, plus or minus, depending on the week, of course. And some of the meetings are during the day, not a lot, but some, but most of them are in the evening. Are you willing and available to commit the necessary time to be an effective council member?
Yes, we've been clocking and watching live most of them, particularly during the pandemic. It was a conversation with my wife to make sure that she was okay with it. Right? I got run by her and my kids. So I've got a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old. So they're actually a lot of work too. And then I just finished up grad school, so that's all done.
Oh, excellent.
Yes.
Congratulations. Thank you. Are you willing to attend council meetings and other events in person?
Absolutely.
Of the personal and professional skills that you have, what is the most essential or beneficial skills that you bring to council?
It's kind of a long question. With my career, so I'm primarily a systems engineer. You take a look at first principles on how you solve a problem. Went into Deloitte Consulting and realized, talking to executives and leadership, they want to know engineering phrases don't work. So business risks, opportunities, got my MBA. So I've learned to add another lens or another tool in the tool belt. And then recently I just finished up behavioral economics and analysis. And that allows me to apply nudges, look at fallacies or biases, and how to influence decisions in my customers or where I'm working at right now.
Cool. Are you familiar with Littleton building codes?
I am not, only from what I've watched on various videos online from exceptions. So most recently was I think I was watching the 8-foot fence.
Okay. Significant council activity over the next 6 months is going to be the unified land use codes. What is your current understanding of what those codes might be?
No, I'd have to research and understand that.
Please describe your community involvement and/or relevant experience over the last 5 years.
It's been mostly focused on my kids, so mostly jumping in and dealing with anything regarding that, whether it be within the kindergarten activities or my kids' current school that she's at right now, which is Blue Herring. We're all moving to St. Mary's, so right now participating in church, and then primarily from a community perspective, my wife is Zoroastrian. I'm a non-practicing Catholic, so just there to bolster that. Karate, helping the kids. I'm teaching at the Littleton Martial Arts Center. They're there, so women's self-defense, they need additional teachers. I've been boxing for 20 plus years. So it's been mostly focused around children, so more of a ease of an opportunity. I haven't been looking for things, it's more like how to be involved with my family and kids.
Cool. My kids went to St. Mary's, it's great school.
Yeah, I'm looking for the 2-minute drive.
Nice.
Because I live very in Curtis.
So it'll be great getting over there.
Yeah.
And I've done karate for over 40 years. Are you familiar with the city budget?
No, but I can balance a budget.
You can, that's good.
We can't.
Yeah, we have to by charter.
I can balance my department's budget, but when it comes
Where's the
to
mute button? Please identify what you believe the top 2 priorities would be for the city of Littleton, or issues.
So we're in an interesting spot where so I have a lot of relationships with actually the business owners from just speaking with them. And then also we're in an interesting spot where our house becomes an attraction point for people to have conversations. So not only with our neighbors, but everyone around. The biggest complaint I hear, I think partially one of my own, is the amount of construction at one time. It's a poor experience for myself. I think it's also a poor experience for people being here since part of their sidewalks are torn up. It also makes it considerably harder for parking, not just myself, but people that are coming here. People are parking all day long. So I think that creates a poor user experience for everyone. Mm-hmm. Kind of all 3 areas, to be honest. You said 2, right? How to bring businesses back is going to be interesting. Relevant businesses downtown. You've lost a couple that were interesting, but you've gained a couple. The little gaming place. My kids love that. I love board games. You've lost things like the printing one. While it wasn't a terribly attractive looking business, it's been there for a long time, and it's kind of saddening. I don't think. It's great for probably money and taxes and people in the buildings, but Littleton buildings, offices, not terribly sexy. I don't go to downtown Littleton to spend my money to see realtors. So trying to attract, balancing it, making it sexy enough for people to come down there, not only live, but come down on a regular basis.
Yeah, get down there, it's very vibrant, I love it down there.
Yeah, no, I do.
Yeah, there's no question, Scott.
Yeah, hi, thanks for applying. Pleasure coming. Since you've been watching council meetings,
Yeah.
what's a recent issue that's come before the council that stood out to you? And how would you have decided the issue and why?
The front fence thing is kind of a thing, primarily since he's my neighbor, catty corner, and we're actually good friends.
Who's that? But I thought you said the name, no, that's okay.
Yeah. So from one side, right, there's only one side, I heard primarily his side, to sell the PowerPoint deck. I don't think that was a great, excellent user experience for somebody living here as far as going through the process. I have yet to go through the process of getting necessary building codes. I've seen a gentleman next door to me was having hit my neighbor Jeff. He was getting his windows replaced. Somebody came out and was screaming at the window replacers, like screaming because we cameras about, did you get code? Did you get all the everything came out? It was a pretty poor experience. So just there seems to be a way to enforce code HOA style that makes sense, but then kind of be practical and pragmatic, but then not take 6 or 9 months.
Okay, thanks.
Hi, Christopher. I'm Kelly. Nice to meet you.
Pleasure.
Thanks for applying. I just have 2 questions. One, any intentions to run for city council this November?
How about we figure out how this works?
Fair enough.
So kind of engineering first principles. I'm not looking to solve everything one time, you iterate. So let's just try a little bit. If this works out, and if I'm successful, if it makes sense. Obviously, I'm sure you all would probably mentor and feedback people that you'd want to come in. So that's how I would rely on that decision.
It's be a pretty quick one because you got to apply before I think the end of August.
That's short on time, but yeah.
Yeah, it is. Okay, thank you.
All right.
Nice to meet you.
Is there something you'd like to accomplish in the next 5 months? Something that interests you? If there's not, it's fine.
There really isn't. It's really just kind of taking a look at what you have, and then I guess currently how in my role right now at work is I kind of pick up the slack, fill the gaps where it's needed, and adapting quickly. So that's kind of how I would work here, I would think. I'm the new person, right? Like you don't necessarily want to rock the boat too quick. Nobody likes the new guy coming in and everyone else to do their jobs. I mean, I don't like it. It's just more about asking questions. Are we thinking about all possible sides, and how can we nudge people in a better direction? Are we doing first order thinking, meaning how we're solving it right now? Are we causing worse problems by this actual solution? So I think I would be more of a sounding board. I mean, it's a little kind of late in the game to be knocking anything apart, I think.
Okay. If you could make one improvement in the city, what would it be?
It has to be with the construction. I'm not against it, but there's got to be X amount of construction and X amount of area that's got to be limited. I mean, Curtis right now is a poor experience down the road, starting all the way from one set of apartments to ones that are across from mine to the next ones. And don't get me wrong, I'm actually buying a property from Gabrielle. So it's not like I'm complaining about it. Like I'm buying and taking part of it, but at the same time, it's a poor user experience for everyone.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Did you happen to watch the meeting on Tuesday
Little bit.
regarding the sales tax, marijuana tax, and lodging tax?
No, that night was actually me dealing with the kids, but you asked me some questions.
Some of the conversation was about, would you be in favor of a slight sales tax increase going from 3% up to potentially 3.5%?
I guess we're talking about non-medical?
Retail sales tax.
Oh, generic retail sales
Yeah.
tax, marijuana.
Well, there's marijuana.
Oh.
There's
Different issue.
Yeah, three separate taxes. One would be retail sales tax, 3 to 3.5%.
What do the store owners feel like about that?
Well, the feedback we got was pretty good.
They're okay
We had consultants and 300 people got surveyed and they felt, I think it was about 56% were in favor.
I mean,
And so for $100, you'd be spending an additional 50 cents.
generically speaking, sales tax doesn't bother me because it only hurts me if I'm buying.
Right.
So if I was given the choice between state income tax or sales tax hikes, guess what I'll take?
Sure.
So whatever allows me to save money and I make the discretion whether or not I spend it is on me.
Right. All right. And then what do you like best about downtown? Since you live right down here and this is my district, so I'm always needing some feedback on what you like about downtown.
So you have to realize we've been coming down here for 10 years. We lived in Grant Ranch.
Okay.
So we kept hiking it over.
Right.
And actually parking in front of the current house that we own.
Okay.
Then got to the point where we're just doing ride shares sorry about the parking thing. I'm not the only one. Parking's hard. Plus, if you've been drinking, it makes sense. I love it. There's the variety of different places. I enjoy Rocker Bar. I know the owners. I know Cafe Terracana. I know the owners. My wife does the Tour of Terror. The past 3-4 years. Yeah, that's my wife, Diane. She does the Tour of Terror. She's been doing that for 4 years at the Melting Pot. We're trying to figure out if we can do it now with the new rules, and then also trying to readjust the kids post-pandemic. So I love the variety. I love that there's different things that I can do on a regular basis. So I mean, you got playable now, so that's cool. I wish it was sushi though, right? I wish it was raw food. No, I enjoy it. I mean, this was the primary reason. I love walking out of my house and smelling pizza.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you.
Welcome.
No questions.
Anything for us? What do you have for us?
Oh God. What are the expectations? What are the first things that would be offloaded into this? Right now, from what I looked at, her was arts and community. I can't remember the other things were very nebulous. Transportation. So I mean, what would be immediately?
Right off the bat, we're addressing codes right now, so we'll get a draft. Is it next June? June. We're getting a draft of the unified codes that I mentioned that are being revised or updated. It's been many years, so that puts you right. That would put you right into the fire on codes. Then eventually we'll be talking things like short-term rentals again.
Like Airbnb, like you're talking Airbnbs?
Airbnb type stuff. We've done that for a couple of years now. Auxiliary units, things like that. Geneva Village, which is just right behind us here. Those are kind of the hot issues.
Okay.
And then others, then we got budget season coming up. That's coming. So those are biggies coming up that we know of. Then there's other stuff.
Yeah.
You were talking about construction. Eventually, Denver Water is going to tear up Main Street to replace the main.
I didn't know that.
That's a big deal too. So that they wanted to do it this year, but we were able to put it off. So it's when are they going to do it, and how can we plan around that to keep Littleton going down there?
Wow, that's
Huge.
that's a big one, particularly trying to bounce back from pandemic and then trying to do.
Well, we're gonna push it to 2023.
Yeah, I think at this point it's at least 2 years out.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's where we're looking. But it's still, you got to plan. You don't just plan in 2 years.
What realistically speaking, like a person coming up to codes, obviously you've all been reading and looking at what's a rough estimate of somebody coming up? Like, is that something where you can't cram it over a weekend? That's at least.
Oh, we've been working on codes for well over a year. We just finished the comp plan not too long ago. And that was, I think that was a year.
18 months.
18 months
Yeah.
took to get it accomplished. Of which was really pushing it, because a lot of people thought it would take about 3 years, but we were able to get it done and done well. And now with the code updates, it involved, and we refer like where you live even as part of the football.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's where we first started with our codes. We, of course, as you know, we did some more tutorials on building even for a while, new permits.
So when looking at codes, is this something that you evaluate internally to update, or is it something you garner like feedback from constituents?
Lots of that. The city has been doing what they call Envision studios.
Yep.
And that they get a lot of feedback there, a lot of folks watching it, whether it's Zoom or live.
Yep.
And all of council's been very involved. We don't write it, council, it's staff that does all that stuff. They bounce it off us and we either like it, don't like it, or tweak it somehow. So when it comes out to us in June again, that's what's gonna get a lot of conversation from lots of citizens, most likely, who have been following it.
How do you all approach the situation, or the people that are writing it? So to me, this doesn't, like, you're not treading in new area, so kind of like fast follow or looking at other cities, how do they evolve code? This is kind of how I work.
You bet.
in my opinion.
Yeah, and they're all experts. They're professionals, that is. They've been involved in this, and the city over the years, the old time employees have gone, and we've brought in a lot of new employees. In fact, when I was just outside a little video, I had a 15-minute conversation with someone who's only been with the city since 2018, but he's been focused on sidewalks or anything concrete and streets. He's just real excited about it because we didn't have a transportation plan for one thing, and we didn't have a road improvement plan. And he's just all excited because he came at the right time. All of this over the next 5 years, there's so much is going to happen because of what's being done today.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Long overdue,
Pardon?
long overdue.
It's due, that's for sure.
I don't think the roads are that bad. The sidewalks are getting a little bit banged up, but they're not awful. I mean,
Depends where you are.
yeah, I mean, Curtis is pretty nice. The places where I walked the football area, so my scope of understanding of Littleton was smaller, right?
Right.
Whole town Littleton, right? So no, it's not that bad at all.
Yeah.
The roads are fine.
Oh, there's other areas, like I live in Aberdeen Village, they're pretty rough.
Okay.
The last person was just here, was talking about her neighborhood, they're pretty bad.
Got it.
Yeah, it's just, it depends where
Where you're at.
you are. But we didn't have a plan. You know, it was just kind of, we did it over here this year, and we'll still
Ad hoc.
here. And now we actually know. Yeah, but we get citizens that, voice their opinions, about their roads or sidewalks or businesses even.
So you're moving from more of a tactical to long-term, where you start preemptively striking areas that might be.
Yeah, but at least we can give them a plan.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of what we do.
That's fine.
Yeah, it's great. You join it?
Any other questions?
Not right now. It's just, I guess it's really more like how do you onboard a new person? Is there an onboarding process? I'm sounding like this is a job in a company, but I mean, how do you onboard, get the necessary access?
You get one of these, we
Oh.
say the meeting is Tuesday, read the 300 pages and make a decision.
That's
No, it's not quite that bad. You get support from staff.
It's only 200 pages.
Yeah,
Exactly.
there's support from staff, and then people on council are available to help, and so it's.
You're not alone.
I mean, that's.
Oh, there's no support.
No, I mean,
It's great.
yeah, not alone, but it's just like, hey, here's a big stack of, become an expert in codes and.
Oh, no, none of us are experts in codes. We
Okay.
know codes, but we're not experts.
That's fair.
Again, it's policy is what we do.
Interesting. I do a lot in information security, so policies. I guess the question is then, how do you get people to move or nudge them in various directions? Like, how do you get decisions made? I mean, for me, it's about, I work for a company that provides secure access, and by default, people don't enable MFA, multi-factor authentication, because it's poor form. So what we do is by nudging it, by enable it, similar like 401ks, right?
Mhm.
Nobody would do it, and now you automatically enroll you. That's the concept of nudging, right?
Yep.
So
Got it.
I'm not necessarily pushing it in a bad way, I'm just pushing it in a good way, but you have the option of jumping out, so.
Well, like with the tax issues that Patrick had mentioned,
Tax.
we have to justify.
Yeah.
Do we or do we not need it? And if we say we do need it, we need to justify it. If we don't need it, we need to say why we don't need it. We have people complaining about streets, as they should, because there's issues out there. And if we're saying, well, we don't need money to fix the streets because we have money, then why aren't we fixing the streets? So then if we don't have the funds, then we have to, well, where do we get money?
That's fair.
That's what we do.
How How was the response for getting sales tax from people? I mean, if the businesses weren't worried about hurting.
Well, it wasn't just businesses, it was the entire,
Community.
the 300 people that got surveyed, so it was, 56%. And
And that was on the 0.5. Because of the
that was
point-
going from 3% up to 3.5. So 50 cents on $100. No big deal,
And-
right?
and-
And then MJ marijuana was high, 72%, I think.
Real high.
And then lodging tax was also high, I think 68 or 69%, somewhere in there.
And then on the sales tax of 0.7, it was
Yeah.
a failure.
Yeah, it went down to 42%, I think, yeah. And even though it was only 75 cents
Exactly.
on $100,
Quarter difference.
but
It's
just,
nothing, it's
Yeah.
It's,
important.
it's a marketing concept,
Right.
Like 99 cents versus 90 cents.
Sure.
Like, yeah.
yeah, so we're just trying to figure out if we have time to put it on the ballot this year, that's all. So I'm just trying to gauge people's opinion on it too.
And council has to be able to justify it, because it comes down to the 7 of us that we have to be able to justify, do we or do we not? And if we don't, like I said, why not? And if we do, why?
And if we put it on the ballot, we don't decide. Our decision is, do we put it on the ballot or not?
Yeah.
Not, do we raise the taxes, right? Yeah.
No, that.
Right,
that-
it's a state issue, yeah.
Yeah.
So if you see it on the ballot, the answer is yes.
That's good. 3 yeses.
Well, that's
There you go.
that was more like a shove, but it worked.
It's a show.
That was more of a shove, but yeah,
Different than a nudge.
yeah.
That's always subtle.
A suggestion.
What else are you gonna do to kind of revitalize downtown? I mean, specifically the businesses lost, I guess, so you got a lot of open spaces right now.
Right. Downtown didn't lose too much, speaking, as far as closures, but we are looking at potential, are you familiar with the DDA or BID, Building Improvement District, or Downtown Downtown Development Authority, yeah. And this is where the local owners of downtown come together and they form a group to basically take over the city and get city council and get this
Particular district.
What's that?
You said city, but you meant district.
Yeah, get the city out of running downtown like we are right now.
That's fair.
Yeah, we prefer the owners to take ownership of their downtown.
I dig that.
So they're looking at the potential of putting that
In place.
association together, that's not association, but
Authority.
some authority maybe is a better word,
Yeah.
yeah, together.
Well, I mean, there's some things, in some states, like the guys that owned Grand Bistro, right? They had a nice grocery that was kind of nice for like a month.
Right.
It didn't work out.
Yeah.
I missed the farmer's market that used to happen in Grand Keys. Things like that. Like,
Yeah.
It'd be interesting, like, how do I not leave down? Like, how do I not leave? How do you keep me here? It's the goal.
Exactly.
Right.
And I already go out of my way. I'd rather spend more money to keep
Sure.
it local, but there's some things I'm missing, like fruits and vegetables.
Yeah.
And milk.
Well, there's Scott's house, he has plenty of them.
Soon.
You have a cow.
No.
Well, we will start weekends on Main again, sorry.
Someday.
It'd be interesting if you did somehow be able to use the unused space like farmers markets are pulling. I think you're pulling occasionally small little pop-ups there, but the farmers market.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll mention to Greg, I assume he's gonna bring that back.
Okay.
Yeah, I assume he, I'll probably might see him after this meeting.
And Ashland Grove, I think.
National Grove is doing it, but that's only,
Oh, that's a good one.
that's every Saturday?
That's
Every
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
No, it's
Wednesday,
Wednesday.
yeah.
Saturdays is the one by the mall. We used to-
Southwest Plaza.
Southwest, because we
Yeah,
lived
I
in
go
Grand
that
Ranch,
one
we
too.
go, see, I lived in Grand Ranch, I go that one, but I'd rather not go to
Yeah,
Aspen Grove, I'd rather. Like,
yeah, that's one of those.
Let's stay here.
Sure.
All right, anything else?
No,
Well, thank you so
Thank you
much
for
for
coming
coming
in.
in.
Thank you.
For applying.
We'll see you around town.
it was a pleasure, thank you.
Absolutely. Good to see you, Krista.
Enjoy your kids.
Yeah, really. Yeah, moving right along out here.
I wonder if our other person is here early.
What'd you say?
Great.
Joe,
Do we want to jump right in?
sure.
Yeah,
Ready
sure.
to go?
I'm Joe.
Go, we're ready for you if you're ready.
All right,
Thanks for
Joe.
being early.
Slug this water.
Yeah, please take a minute.
Yeah, we're pulling you in 15 minutes early here.
Well, I'm trying to get you guys out of here.
Hey, all right. Hey, Joe, how you doing?
Spirit.
I'm good. Should I go around the table or just say hello?
Just say hello.
Yeah, that's
Joe.
fine. Perfect.
All right, well, cool. Thank you for coming in.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate it. So we have 30 minutes. We really have plenty of time, so
Yeah.
don't feel rushed.
I do not.
Okay, good. Even though you're early, that's great, it's good for us. So I have a few questions and everybody else has a few questions, so you can, at the end, you get a chance to run that back it up.
Would resume help anybody or?
We have,
Yeah.
we got copies after copies. Okay,
I read yours the other day and I just get it
Yeah.
refreshed.
so in your opinion, what is the primary role of city council?
To represent the citizens of the city and the general wishes of the citizens, I suppose.
Okay. The weekly time commitment, not including regular council meetings, to read the materials, attend outside meetings, is approximately 10, 20 hours a week, plus or minus, depending on what's going on. Some meetings are during the day, but most meetings are in the evening. Are you willing and available to commit the necessary time to be an effective council member?
Yes, I will confer with my wife once more, but she seemed on board with it. We have a 2-year-old and I live about a mile up Littleton Boulevard, so proximity is a little bit helpful, and then I'm in sales, so my schedule can be flexible.
Excellent. Are you willing to attend council meetings and other events in person?
Yes.
Really, that question's probably gonna go away anyway. Of the personal and professional skills you have, what is the most essential and beneficial skill that you bring to council?
I only get to pick one.
Give it to us. We got.
Yeah, I wrote a few down. I thought,
Yeah.
and it was funny. I called Karina when I saw that there was an opening. I followed all the emails and all that stuff, and I just felt like getting more involved. In COVID, I hadn't put a suit on in a year, so it was just time to get involved.
Mhm.
Now we own 2 properties in town, and so I talked a little bit about with her, like what would have value to this group, and it was several things. I think one is just professional background. I've mainly been in the advertising and marketing space for the last 15 years, so meet with a lot of small, medium, regional businesses in Colorado on a regular basis. So I'm used to interfacing with those kinds of people. I'd say personal investment. So I own a residential property and a rental property, like I said, just about a mile and a half up the street. So we're pretty committed to Littleton and raising our family here, and obviously using it to generate some income for the family too. Upbringing, I grew up in a town about an hour north of Indianapolis, very, very similar to Littleton. I was talking out in the hallway about all the county seats in Indiana have a town square, which is kind of interesting. So they had this look and this feel to them, and Littleton was really the only place that when we moved out here, we felt like had some of those similar qualities. We didn't want to be in Parker and we didn't want to be downtown, and Littleton just kind of fit the bill. So you'll see us walking into town if you're out driving.
Fort Wayne, is that where the area or?
Indianapolis, north side of Indianapolis. So Noblesville is the town, but Carmel's the one people probably think of if they spend any time in that area. But
All's right there is that we got Peyton Manning, it worked out.
hey, no, it worked out for me too. I just migrated with them. So we'll see what happens this year though.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah. Are you familiar with Littleton building codes?
No, I'm not. Which I think is part of the reason to get more involved, whether it's the council or other positions is yeah, I'd like to learn more about that. Our house actually was there's a Catholic church up off Powers. And so there's a lot of controversy over zoning and that kind of stuff. And so I sat in on a few meetings as they were going through that process just to get some exposure to it. But I'll be honest with you, that would be a learning curve. For sure.
It is for everybody, really. Significant council activity over the next 6 months is going to be the Unified Land Use Codes. What is your current understanding of those codes, or do you have an understanding?
Pretty limited. I think I took a peek at it when some of that stuff was coming out in the paper, and tried to keep tabs on it, but not a deep understanding. I hadn't committed that much time to learn about it.
Please describe your community involvement and or relevant experience over the last 5 years.
Not a lot of community involvement. I mean, that's why I'm here, is to try to get involved with the community that I'm in. Beyond that, professional organizations and stuff like that. I've been involved with some things with DU and Comcast, which is the company that's parent company of the company I work for. So things like that, more professionally focused than community.
Are you familiar with the city budget?
I am not.
And what would you identify as the two top issues facing the city?
It's a great question.
I got it before you tonight, Scott.
Dang it. 1-0.
There's always.
He took a note.
It
I was
did
just getting that time.
Yeah, for me, having lived here for 4 years, I think, planning for like sustainable growth and infrastructure, I think is a big one. You're just seeing it every day. As you pass through town, there's more and more people moving to Colorado. The further you go toward Denver, residential property starts to get really, really small. So there's just a lot of, I think, going to be growth challenges is a layman's answer. I think maybe the second challenge is how do you maintain what makes Littleton great while that's going on? Because that's tough, right? Like you've got all this history and you've got all these things, and it's really easy to, I think, take shortcuts and lose a little bit of that. When you look at all these different places to build business and residences, like you got to preserve something that makes Littleton unique, because that's why people move here. That's why probably businesses want to be here. That's why we walk into town and I get my haircut in town, and that's what we like about the city.
Cool. All right. I'll give it over to Scott. I got a feeling I know what Scott's going to even ask.
Oh, what do you, I don't know. I don't think he does.
He said the magic word, sustainability. That's what it was.
No. So pretend you have a magic wand
Okay.
and you close your eyes and you imagine the future of Littleton. You can do whatever you want, make it however you want. What do you see?
I see water world
I see unicorns.
at the Ensign property.
Yeah.
Oh,
I could give you like a silly answer, but like, I don't know, like a serious answer would be,
You can whatever answer you want.
I think what you would see is the same sense of community that's here now, if not bigger, and a whole second wave of family generation probably living in Littleton. Like I always think of, south of Littleton Boulevard, just down the street, there's all these homes from 1950 and there's a whole family, and you can see the mid-century look in some of the buildings still as you kind of drive down the street. And there was a whole generation of people that raised their kids there. But I'm not seeing, is there another family moving into that area? And is there a second wave of that, community? Like, to me, that would be kind of the magic wand look.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kelly. Thanks
Hi.
for applying. Nice to meet you. Congratulations on your second baby coming in
Thank
August.
you. Yes,
You're gonna be
exciting.
busy with the 2-year-old
We
and
are.
the newborn. Have fun. Just a simple question. Do you have any intentions to run for council in November?
I haven't thought that far in advance, frankly. I thought I would introduce myself to you all and give a good run at it and let you guys see the other candidates and who I am. And we'll go from there.
Okay. All right. That sounds good. If you were to run, do you foresee it causing any problems with being able to serve on council? Could be a lot of work, or it could be as little work as you want it to be.
I don't foresee it being a problem. Like, I'm a pretty sequential guy, just by nature. Like, I think I just try to take things one step at a time. I don't have any illusions about, I couldn't be governor tomorrow. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. So, no, I don't think it'd be a problem.
Okay, thanks.
In the next 5 months, is there something that you would like to feel like you accomplished?
Well, besides getting a second baby here,
Which is a big accomplishment.
staying married, I just get involved with the city in some capacity. Like, that's a big goal, I try to write like kind of 3 big goals for the year typically, and try to knock a couple of those off. And this was one. It just so happened that when that bulletin came across that Karina was leaving, I was like, well, this seems like a big jump, but it's a short time commitment in terms of overall support, and it'd be a good opportunity to kind of test what this would feel like and probably learn a lot and meet a lot of people. So, yeah, cool.
Is there something that city council works on that you're passionate about?
Yeah, I mean, a few things. I talked with Karina about it, and we just tried to brainstorm a little bit. You know, said, hey, if this doesn't work out, what are some of those things that you might be a good fit for, that you're passionate about? You know, certainly the arts and the histories and the cultural stuff. I'm pretty passionate about. My wife is from New York, and she was a history teacher by training, so she and I both just like that. Like, we read all the signs and go to all that stuff, like when we're walking through town. And then I think you think of the marketing and advertising background, and just experience with that. So any of those boards that help support the marketing and development of the city, for sure. There were a few others that she mentioned that are in my notes somewhere, but those are the ones that kind of jumped off the page.
If you could make one improvement in the city, what would it be?
One improvement in the city. I don't know. The challenge of that is, like, I'm one person, so my experience living here is pretty limited to me. Like, I don't know what everybody else is saying. I would think it has to be something with infrastructure or potentially crime. Infrastructure, just because we're pretty involved. We have the kids out, kid out every day. We're going to all sorts of events in town, and just there's several pockets of Littleton that are really you can sense that they're becoming more challenging just to navigate for people. And I think that makes challenges for business and family and everything else. So that's probably my first inclination. The second is that crime piece. We've had a car stolen from our property. Literally walked out of the house, came back an hour later in broad daylight and had a car stolen 1.5 miles from here, and the police station's right here. So that, to me, was something that, as we were purchasing our second home and moving this other property to a rental, like, that was a big consideration on, do we want to stay here? I mean, we're that close to the town center,
Right.
where there's a lot going on, there's a lot of people. How is that happening? And if you just kind of keep tabs on Nextdoor, which is probably my best source of information from the community, and there's a lot of it, right? I mean, that comes up a lot, especially within the Littleton Center.
Thank you.
I think you just answered one of my questions, but how do you normally get your information about the city?
So definitely the paper.
Yeah, the Littleton Independent.
Yeah, I subscribe to all of the social outlets, but I think for the most part, the email subscriptions and the paper.
Yeah, okay.
Are the two primary.
Right. Do you think Littleton's going in the right direction? Do you, other than losing a car every once in a while?
I don't know, frankly. I mean, I don't have enough exposure to,
Right.
other than what I can read, what's happening. My kids aren't in the school system yet.
Right.
But certainly, I think my wife has opinions about, she works in private education, and I don't know that she would recommend our kids to go to Littleton after being in town for a couple of years.
Okay.
So potentially that.
Right. And have you attended any city council meetings through Zoom or
I haven't.
in person, and maybe in 2019 already? Okay.
I have not.
Yeah. And then are you familiar with the potential of us raising our sales tax, retail sales tax?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit.
And obviously, the last ballot, there was a lot of change in the city with the mayoral situation and everything else. So
Right. And would you be in favor of that, raising sales tax from 3% to 3.5%?
I would say so.
Yeah, minimal increase on retail sales tax. That's all I had. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, it's interesting that turnover, like families and houses. We're out of Aberdeen Village on Aberdeen Street. We first moved in, there's a lot of old folks that lived there. I was in my 30s. And I remember there was no kids on our block. Within 5 years, there were 17. And then all those kids sort of grew up together. They went to different schools, and they all graduated college and stuff. And now there's a whole new group of kids that are starting to grow. So it is interesting to see it, because I hear people say, "Oh, we're not turning over," but I know in my neighborhood, man, I'm seeing again another turnover. Yeah, so it does happen out there. It just doesn't make the paper, I guess.
Sometimes I wonder, is it a process of there's nowhere else in the metropolitan area that's like Littleton? Is that why people like me would we have gone somewhere else?
Sure.
So I also worry about, if a Parker trying to build in history, and build in a downtown and walkable, I think Littleton has to promote like what it has. Like you can't manufacture character. It just, like, it doesn't work.
Yeah, Littleton's a great city.
Did you ever get your car back?
We did. It was found in Commerce City.
That's where a lot of people go. I don't want
Was it in any good shape?
It was not our nice car. It was kind of the car that my wife had used through college and into early adulthood, and
maybe it was a blessing.
it was a blessing for me.
I got a good
I didn't like to be
insurance
insured
check.
but it's still, when you're losing a car and your wife's
Sure.
8 months pregnant, pretty
That's
scary.
still stressful,
Yeah.
yeah.
Was it a Honda?
It was a Kia,
A Kia?
but they had to get into the house to get the keys, so
Oh,
they went into the house
that's scary.
That's pretty bold.
in, 4 p.m., something like that.
Well, there you go.
Was it open?
Get an
Was your
alarm,
house-
get an alarm.
No, we had cameras in the kitchen, and they're all on camera too,
Oh.
and they still didn't catch them.
Get a chihuahua. Go bark like
Get you.
No, we went to a putt-putt course up on the corner of
Sure.
Bellevue. And we just, she was feeling like she wanted to go for a walk. And so we were like, well, let's go play putt-putt. And we came back an hour later and it was gone. It's crazy.
No, man,
Oh,
that's
that's
awful.
They have rashes of them, like, they come in group in waves.
Yeah, because I think for the most part, our crime has been pretty good. At least the last time Chief Stevens reported to us, it seemed like everything was
Last year
down.
he reported, but our crimes have not.
But since we voted marijuana, I wonder if we're seeing an increase since we voted.
According to the chief, marijuana hasn't been an issue, the medical marijuana at least, and we haven't had a chance to
Right,
retail
We
shelves.
sent that survey out. We were the 16th safest city when it comes to violent crimes in the state.
Yeah, violent crime, sure, but the small.
But the other stuff, yeah. But
It's
yeah,
going on all over
according to the chief though,
It's going on all
the
over.
medical hasn't been an issue for him, the establishments.
It's not just.
The bars continue to be an issue.
Right.
It's not in Vacant.
Do you have some questions for us?
I had a few, some were answered.
Sounds like Karina answered a lot for you.
Yeah, the main one was time commitment. Can you guys describe that a little bit more? Because obviously I don't want to entertain you guys if I couldn't do it.
Right.
Yeah, and it depends. It just depends on, we're all on different liaison roles. Today I was on 2 meetings. I had one with the Metro Mayors and then also the Mahi Floodplain District. Yesterday I met with constituents, a group of constituents, as well as being here, as well as the couple phone calls I had to deal with, and Friday. So it just comes and goes. I know Carol likes to do her, she does neighborhood or district meetings, which is well attended.
Mm-hmm.
And she does those from time to time. So it's really whatever you put into it as an individual.
I will tell you, there's 3 of us that work full-time,
Mm-hmm.
and the other 3 are retired, so.
I'm not retired, but I wish I
Well,
were.
he's not retired. He's going back into work. But I think it really.
There are
all
different
depends
ways
on
to
what
be
you put in.
retired.
Yeah, there's different ways to be retired, but I also think that
Some are
you, it's all what you put into it. So you definitely have your meetings on Tuesdays, and then you usually get your agenda packet on Thursdays. So you could take it over the weekend to read it, and then, if you wanted to serve as liaison on some of the boards that there might still be positions open, you could do that as well. Or you don't have to either. You don't. There's nothing that says you have to do that. So the meetings generally last, 2 to 3 hours on Tuesdays? Sometimes you might have meetings a couple other days of the week, but so it's generally what you kind of.
Our Zoom
put
meetings
into
haven't
it.
been very long, because it's just difficult with Zoom. It's a lot different being in Zoom than it is being live meetings. But it really just depends. Most of the stuff happens in the evening. My
This
stuff
week,
is happening during
we
the day.
have meetings 3 nights out of the week,
3 in a row,
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
It's unusual.
as well as other meetings that you may have, your board meetings that you go, right?
It's all Korean's fault.
Yeah, so there is a time commitment, no doubt about it.
What's the biggest challenge somebody with limited experience in civil service has coming in here? Like,
Just not maybe getting your way. It's something you sort of get used to. Sometimes when you vote on stuff, it goes your way, it doesn't. You can't let it bug you, that it does, you don't get, that the vote.
I think it's the unfamiliarity with some of the procedures and verbiage
Sure.
and processes that maybe other people understand that you don't. And I think back when I started on a commission, that I didn't understand, kind of what was going on in the
Yeah.
beginning. We got to sit back and,
Because you came in with experience.
but I came in understanding certain things, but I remember back then, it was just kind of new. And if you're coming from a certain industry, it's like learning an industry. If you've ever switched industries,
Sure.
to me, that's how I look at it. You go from banking to high tech to whatever. It's just, there's just differences. So it's kind of.
And the city staff is very helpful.
Yeah.
The city attorney, make sure you don't get the city in trouble. But the staff is very helpful for someone coming in.
Yeah, I started thinking about, I haven't even thought of Robert's rules in like 10 years. I don't know am I in over my head? Like, what am I doing?
Yeah, it'll come.
No, I came in similar, when I ran and surprisingly won. So 3.5 years later, but yeah, I came in kind of naive and blind too. But my biggest takeaway was staff was there to do all the heavy lifting. Really, as the seven of us sit down, we're kind of like Caesar up there saying, give him thumbs up or down and give him direction. And so we don't have to get in the weeds that much. You really don't. So when you think about unified land use codes or zoning codes, you don't have to know them by heart. Nobody's going to stop you and ask you what's the zone, So I think that's maybe your takeaway. You don't stress about it.
Was there anything that Karina was extremely involved in or pulling a lot of weight in for the group that would need to be taken care of by somebody else with her departure?
I thought Karina did a great job. Since she was a large person, that means she covered the entire city. And I'm in District 1, which is right down here downtown and out to almost out to Grant Ranch. And I just thought she did a phenomenal job of just getting out to all corners of the city to get to know people. As far as coming in and taking over a chair position or something like that, or being a liaison to one of the boards, she was on CDOT or Dr. Cog, and she was on the Arts and Culture. And so I don't know if we would have a new person take any of that stuff on over. I would kind of think, this is enough, right? Just come in and just worry about this one position.
And Karina was always prepared because she read the information. And if she didn't know the information or understand something, or she would have called the city attorney or city manager, and either they would have one of their staff help her out.
Is there a question I should be asking?
I don't think so.
You're getting ready to have 2 kids, we can go there.
Everybody has kids.
And I worked for 8 years on, full-time jobs too, downtown Denver. Like Kelly, now Kelly's the new race to the meeting, and I used to be that person too, just barely get here on time type things. That's part of how life is for us.
Yeah, I don't know I'm going back. I left in March and I don't think I'm going back to an office.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so mostly virtual.
Yeah, well, you're in sales, it can work that way.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you very much for playing.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. No, I appreciate the time and learned a little bit already, so that's good.
Yeah, cool.
I learned where the building is. I didn't know where the building
Channel 8, Channel 8, every Tuesday you can watch all the
Channel 8.
Yeah, you're watching the place.
You can watch our study sessions and our regular meetings. Yeah, or Facebook. You can go to Facebook.
Anything else I can answer?
That's good, thank you.
I think we're good.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
Like I said, I think when I talked to Karina, I just felt like, hey, if you want a different voice and somebody who's kind of the next generation and who's got some roots dug in, like,
Yeah.
here's an option.
There you go.
Appreciate the
All
time.
right, really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thanks.
We'll be seeing you around, I hope.
Yeah, no, it was nice to meet all of you. Good luck. Are you almost done?
You're done.
Oh, okay, great.
We got about
You can all go home now.
another half hour ahead of us.
Deliberate now.
Yeah,
Sounds good. Well, thank you for the time.
well, thank you so much.
I gotta find my way out of here.
Yeah, good luck.
Oh, somebody should be out there.
Thanks.
Sam will be out there.
Yeah.
All right, have a good night.
You won't be
Take care.
Cool.
If you wouldn't mind closing that door,
I
please.
will do that.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, cool, man. That's good, I like this.
What are you thinking, Jerry? I was thinking just, everybody-
Blind vote.
I was just gonna do is say a blind vote to see, and then if there's something there that, if we're,
A couple things we can and can't do, we can't vote.
nothing.
Okay, so what I've given Sam, and she'll bring me here a little bit, I gave her some little, the names of all 8 candidates.
Uh-huh.
And so what we'll do is what I'm recommending, I mean, you guys can always change it, remember, we all have 7.
Right.
Or 6 in this case, you can vote choices. But what I'm recommending is we take that sheet and go ahead and check mark it on, put your name on that, and you have to give it to Sama. Sama verifies that she has all 6 of us, and we determine, and that's what we need to determine, is it gonna take 4 votes? You know, is, what if we have, 3 and 3, what if we have 2, 2, 2, then we have to keep going. So is if, say, the first round, if we get 4 votes for 1 candidate, are we good with that?
I was just thinking majority. I mean,
Well,
I could see,
four
I
would
could
be
see it be
majority.
2, 1, 1, 1, 1, you know, I could see it being,
Well, that's the other question. So if we have 2, 1, 1, 1, whatever it is, are we willing to go with the 2, in that case? So I would like to see us get to somebody with 4.
I like.
But then
Yeah.
what Sam has to do though, after we say get that 4, when each time we vote, she does have to read out our name for the public record, because it's only fair to our constituents that they know how we are going. And then, once we finally do come to a, let's say somebody gets 4 votes, and that's who, we then are actually directing staff to write I think it's a resolution or something.
okay.
That it comes back to council in 2 weeks, then that's when we officially, make the motion and vote on it.
So when you said we can't vote, you mean we can't do a formal vote,
That's correct.
but we can choose tonight.
Yeah, and right, and that's what we're gonna do, if we come up, if it's the 4, we're giving staff direction to go draft something, and then, when it comes back in 2 weeks, we're not committed to anything in 2 weeks.
I don't wanna be difficult, but what if it's 3, 2, and 1? Do we drop the 1 and then vote again? I mean,
Well, that's what we need to decide, so what do we wanna do? As Patrick said, what if somebody has the 2 and everybody else has 1?
well, I don't think
So-
that 2-person should be.
That should be
Well, to
enough.
me, that's not enough,
Right,
to
no.
me, I really.
And I agree now, now that
I
you
really
say
think
it
it's
that
gonna
way.
take, at least the majority of it is 4.
Well, on the first, it's definitely gonna take the majority. We can't appoint this person with the 2.
Yeah,
Right.
so let's do that, I think that's fair, 4, let's try it out, see
And
what
let's
we
go
come back
78
with.
times till we get there, right, Scott?
6 hours.
Exactly. Inglewood, what they had back in March, they appointed somebody, they didn't even do interviews, they just said it was an at-large person, well, you didn't win, but you were the next person, they just said, oh, why don't we just bring you in? Yeah, that's, I don't think that's the right thing to do, but I'm glad, I like doing it this way, man, these folks tonight, they may not be my first pick. I was very impressed.
We have
Wow.
excellent
Lot of good
candidates.
Wonderful candidates.
Yeah,
that were-
Stunning.
Yeah, that were knowledgeable and
Maybe so.
interested
Yeah,
and professional.
Thank you,
let's try our first round and see what happens.
And Jared, do we get
Get on
to, like, say
Absolutely,
why we're
Yeah, I
supporting
think so.
somebody? Okay.
I think so.
After the vote, you mean, if we don't.
Whatever we want.
First, do we
I
have
think
a
maybe,
program?
I think if you have a reason for saying somebody, whether if somebody doesn't want to talk, then that's fine, but if you are good, no. So Sam, I explained the process we will do, we're looking at having the candidate with the 4 votes, will be our selection going forward.
Okay,
And then as I told them that we have to write our names on there and that you will read our names and our selection for the public.
So we're putting one name, or checking one name.
Right.
Correct, one name. And then as Kelly just mentioned, if you have something you really want to, vouch for, now's the time before we vote. And I'll just start out right away. I think we have a lot of good candidates there. When I really looked at the list, it came down to 3 for me that were the top. And then it came down to 2 for me, came down to Renicki and Jason. I thought they're the 2 for me would probably be the highest, but I'm strongly going to go with Mark Renicki because he's coming with a code experience, which is huge what we need right now as we get into June and start haggling over our code changes.
I'm sorry, go.
Oh, no, I was gonna echo that too as well. I think we had, like you said, we had 8 amazing people. Like, this is so fantastic. we're so lucky that there's engagement from all age groups and all walks of life, which says a lot about, I think, the future of the city. But this is a very short assignment, 5 months, that's it. And we have huge,
There is no ramp up.
huge job that we have to fulfill, which is getting this code passed. And he knows it, he's been working on it. Rudnicki, and I think he can help us safely and with professional eye and an experienced eye, help us get to that point. So that's my.
A little ramp up for him, very little.
Yeah, very little ramp up. Like he knows it. He's good to go. Like, so that's my pitch.
That's exactly what I wrote on my notes, no ramp up, no downtime. He knows the city probably better than any of us. Knows the people here. He's been to council a ton of times. He was the most prepared, or is the most qualified, I should say, and the most prepared.
For this particular short
For,
term.
I agree.
The other candidates are so fantastic.
I agree with that
Just
too.
for this short window.
Short window.
There's no ramp up.
I also thought that, there was more that council does than ULUC, which is very important. And I was very impressed with, Jason and his background
Absolutely.
and his enthusiasm and his open-mindedness. I thought would be a real, would be very good for council. That he didn't come, I didn't sense he would come in with a lot of preconceived notions. So as great as Mark is, and if he is our new council person, that's great. I would also advocate to look at Jason from a little different perspective.
He's very good.
I think that my vote's gonna be for Jason, with no disrespect at all to Mark.
Right.
I think Mark is so knowledgeable. His dedication to the city is unquestionable. His years of service just speak volumes for me. And of course, we do have this very heavy lift of the ULUC, but as Patrick's been saying, we don't get into the weeds, right? We don't need necessarily someone with a vast technical expertise. Staff and the consultants will provide us with that. Our job is to set policy. I really liked Jason's demeanor. I like his background. I like his proven dedication to the city. I like his enthusiasm. I think he's going to come with creativity, and I like the tone that I think he's going to bring to.
He's not coming in wrong either. He's been on a lift.
Yeah.
He's been on a library board.
Oh, yeah.
And he's on something else now, I think.
Yeah.
And his dad was
Historic.
He's on
teacher.
HPV now.
Historically, yeah.
Yeah. I'd like to see Jason in the city.
But he's not wrong, so.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Pete McClintock because of his vast business experience, both downtown and now outside of downtown. And also his experience, immense experience with Western Welcome Week and that sort of thing, Elks. So he has a breadth that, kind of like what Pam was saying, but with a different person of more than the ULUC.
I like Pete a lot.
I like Pete a lot too. And one of the things he said last night is when he was downtown business, he got a lot of attention. And all of a sudden he's over on Broadway. He's like, hey, I'm over here.
Different part of the city.
Yeah. So he brings that perspective. And again, he's not raw either.
Not at all.
He's been around.
So if we were to vote, we don't have our word.
Well, we have to vote first. We don't
We have
know.
to vote.
Let's just go ahead and do a first round vote.
Okay.
Is this yours?
Yep.
Make sure your name's on there.
Sorry.
Yeah,
There's always that kid that turns their test
Yeah,
in.
sorry.
Was that you?
The one thing I didn't write down. My name.
okay, we have Valdez for Mark Rudnicki. We have, who's gonna help me? Scott.
That's it, Scott, yeah.
Thank you. Scott for
Put his
Jason
name on it.
Karen for Jason Henderson. Patrick for Mark Rudnicki. Carol for Pete McClintock. And Kelly Millen for Mark Rudnicki.
3, 2, 1.
Yeah, so we don't have our we don't have our 4, if that's what we want to go with.
Well, we could vote between the 3, or the 2
Well-
that got 3.
Well, we can do that. Let's just
That's
do
probably the best way to do it.
that. Okay, well, we'll take the top 2 candidates. Is that what we're doing?
Want to start this way this time? Take one?
Okay, so we're down to Jason and Mark, right?
Yeah.
Now I'll keep yours, right?
And I tell you what, Pete would have been a good one as well.
I was very impressed with Pete.
Yeah.
I liked him a lot.
I don't think we can go wrong with either guy, I really don't.
Oh, wait a minute, I ended up without one. Did you take both of mine again?
You go
Oh,
to
it's on the
the
floor.
Get your name. No, I didn't print that many ballots or whatever we call them.
Just start opening it again.
Get the copy going.
All right, do we have them all? Okay, I have Carol for Jason Henderson. I have Jerry for Mark Mickey, Patrick for Mark Mickey, Scott for Jason Henderson, Pam for Jason Henderson, and Milliman for Mark Mickey.
Oh, great.
So we got 3, right? 3.
3.
All right, so
Well, the next.
2 top choices.
Okay.
2 top choices.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, we really are, you said some good stuff there, Scott.
The ULUC is huge, and I just think it would be really neat to see him see this all the way through. He's sort of got the whole thing going. He knows it certainly better than I do. I don't know about you guys, but I just, that kind of like tugged at my heart a little bit. Like, yeah, that would be nice to see it all the way through. And when he says, I will tear through that and read every single word and make sure it's right, I know I'll read it too, but I don't know if it's right or wrong, because I don't have that expertise. So I've got to rely on people, and I've got to rely on staff for that, and
Planning Commission, we were lucky enough to get his expertise.
Yeah.
And he put on his evil architect hat to see how people could get around it. So I think remember how we did that? I think we.
He called it the architect from hell. That
Oh,
in fact, I'm
okay.
the one that
Whatever
named him.
the
I'm the one that
term
named
is.
him, yeah.
Yeah, so I think we're lucky to have his expertise in that area. And I think that the ULUC will be pretty baked. It's not that it's not important, it's one of the most important things we're doing over these 2
Right.
years. But I would like to see a very well-rounded, looking at things from a fresh perspective. Somebody that maybe isn't quite so entrenched in the way we've always done things or how things are done. And somebody's knowledgeable. I mean, Jason is very knowledgeable about the city. He's not coming in cold. So that's why I would advocate for him.
one thing I say about Jason, only because I sat on the LIFT board, is that board was stagnant, and that board did absolutely nothing. And that's why that board failed. And Jason was part of that board. And we couldn't get moving. All we did was talk. And I just sat there and shook my head like, why am I sitting here
And
wasting my
hire
time?
attorneys.
And hire an attorney. And that was his one job, he hired an attorney. I just felt like, that board was not a very good board, and Jason was part of that board.
And also just remember.
Not that, and I have nothing against Jason, I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah, me neither. I like Jason a lot. There's 5 months, that's it. It is short. It is a sprint to November. And there's a lot to do with the code, with land use, with all of that.
And related to your question,
Mark knows it.
related to the question that you had, is that, if you're selected and if you're gonna run, do you really have the time to do this?
Mhm.
Mark's not gonna run.
I don't think, no,
He's not gonna
no.
run. He told us that, and I believe he won't.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that was part of that question.
And I think it's very admirable, given, all of his years on planning commission, for him to step up, to step up and to apply for this. So again, I think Jason's fantastic, and I love his energy, and I know he's gonna stay involved with the city or with council in some capacity. But I just think for me, for this time period, I'm very strongly of the opinion that it's good to have, it would be beneficial for us to have somebody that already knows this like the back of his hand.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's coming and trying to change anything,
No,
to your point.
that was my question.
Yeah,
each time.
nobody's,
Mm-mm.
I think our table's so full with what we have on the agenda, I don't think anybody's looking, what's nice is, Yeah, and I don't know Jason's experience within the city, knowing the people within the city, the staff and that type of stuff. Do you guys know?
It's been around for a while.
Okay.
Lyft.
Lift.
No, in the library board, and that's what they should
Yeah,
be.
he knows the process, you know, so it's not, again, it's not raw. You know, so he knows that, and he's a sharp person, obviously.
Yeah.
I hate to talk good about attorneys when one's in a room.
Ah,
Bunch of jerks.
But yeah, he's obviously a very sharp individual. But again, I like Mark just because, again, I would like this, for Mark to be a part of the finish, just as he was with the comp plan, which was a big deal.
I don't have anything more to say.
Yeah, I'm not swayed. I think we still have 3-3.
Well, let's vote and see.
Well, it sounds like, is anybody, yeah, well, let's just do a vote. We'll just do a vote.
All right.
it looks like the dealer,
Oh, she has more.
the dealer.
Don't have that many though.
And I think when Hefner was running it, we just put names on pieces of paper, didn't we?
Yeah,
And then she wrote on the board whatever she wanted to.
but I had time today to put these together. so
Did you do
that's-
this?
Yes,
You cut them all up.
I did.
Oh,
I
you should have had your little green
did it during the meetings that I was in.
Where you were on Zoom
I
calls.
just had my picture on there.
It's great to
Yeah, it
have
was
something to
3
do.
hours of meeting today, so that was okay.
You're funny.
Okay, I have Kim for Mark Rudnicki, I have Jerry for Mark Rudnicki, I have Scott for Jason Henderson, Kelly for Mark Rudnicki, Patrick for Mark Rudnicki, and Carol for Mark Rudnicki.
Oh, wow, I was wrong.
There we go.
There we have it.
We got it.
Again, I don't think either one would.
Both of them.
And Pete as well.
Pete, yeah,
Either one, gosh.
stunning. all
And then
of
the
them.
candidate, again, the other candidates we had, tonight, I think those were newer people, except for maybe Carolyn. God, they were,
Yeah, very.
if I were wearing long socks, it's always this way. I'm just always blown away, just like the
I
board.
have to say though, I cannot imagine, of course, it would be from a male's point of view, it might be different having a newborn, a 2-year-old, and starting new on council.
Yeah.
Difficult.
Plus that man's energy level.
Jeez.
Or somebody
And
doesn't
a
sleep.
full-time job.
Yeah.
I was surprised that
I know.
people, didn't understand what it takes to run a campaign.
Yeah.
I mean, when you run at large, it's a little different, but it is all consuming.
It is all
Yeah.
consuming.
From, you know,
It is.
for,
So our process
Many
now
months.
is the city clerk will put it in on the information for our agenda, regular meeting in 2 weeks. And then that's when we make it the official motion and the official vote.
do you notify them?
I'm gonna notify the Nikki.
Okay, and then do you notify the other people too?
I can notify the others too.
I mean, and when-
Unless anybody else wants to do notifications.
No.
I mean, if
No,
not,
that's fine.
I will.
Is that something you'll do
Oh, yeah,
tomorrow?
I'll do it tomorrow.
We do have draft letters if you'd like them.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, you're doing it
If we're
tomorrow?
done, I can stop recording, are we done?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
We are finished. Thank you.
Thanks,
It is
Sarah.
5.
Thank you, Sam.
8:50.
Wow.